welcome to this self-reflection video. Media is extremely influential to anyone who has access to it. Whether or not you recognize the effect that it has on you can vary from media to media. You can sometimes purposefully adopt something from a piece of media, or it influences your subconscious in ways that you did not expect. Media is most influential when you are young, due to how impressionable it can be. Many of the very straightforward and simple messages and values will influence you as a child, making subconscious influences more prevalent. However, the more complex messages and values will become more apparent as you get older, making conscious influences more prevalent as you're able to understand it now. What influenced me as a child was The Iron Giant. This movie had a lot of what draws kids into movies. A giant robot, guns and lasers, a relatable main character, and an amazing story. Most of the undertones of the movie were lost on me, but one message was not. You are who you choose to be. This is something the main character, Hogarth, said to the giant after he asked if he was just a gun. What prompted this question was when the giant looked at some of the Superman comics that Hogarth owned. After Hogarth explained who Superman was, the giant had found a new role model. The giant wanted to become more than just a gun now. He wanted to be Superman. Before this, I was looking at this giant, hoping for mayhem and destruction. But now this is clearly the opposite of what the giant wanted to do. His nature did not define him, so he chose what he wanted to be. Wanting him to become a gun was selfish of me, making me realize that people are more than just what you perceive. Looking at the movie now, the subtext becomes clearer and clearer. It relates to the paranoia that we feel about the unknown despite a lack of attempts to try and understand. The setting of the movie was also during the Cold War, which consolidates the commentary it has on how the nations handled that major confrontation in history. These kind of messages are completely lost on a child such as myself, but now shows a layer of depth that is hard to match. Finding this out just shows how much meaning you can get by looking beyond what is in front of your eyes. Something that can be applied to real life. When writing and speaking, adding these themes and commentaries will add to the quality of your piece and can have a significant effect on your reader. In addition, looking for these subtleties when reading and listening will add to your understanding of the media itself. The messages and themes in The Iron Giant, along with the amazing characters, are what draw me to this movie now. I care about the characters, so the scene where the Iron Giant sacrifices himself is as heart-wrenching as it ever was. The fact that it has kept this kind of love from me for so long just shows how much of an effect it has had. Now, The Legend of Korra is a show that I watched when I was older, at about the age of 16. In this show, I was able to pick up on more subtleties than I did with The Iron Giant, but there are many parallels to our world that I would not have picked up on if I had not looked even deeper into the show. You become so involved with the world that you forget that the show can apply to real life. It's more than just entertainment, something that has not crossed my mind before this project. It informed me about how equality is something that is impossible to obtain. In order for everyone to be equal, it would require a lot of force and would only end in tragedy. These kind of messages allow me to understand the world to a high degree. We may say we want equality, but in order to achieve what we want, that would require tons of force and would deteriorate society's quality. I know we don't actually want absolute equality, but tearing down those who excel in certain fields because it provides them an unfair advantage is a terrible way of thinking. Now, what makes The Legend of Korra so appealing to me is the universe, the characters, and the applicability to the real world. The universe is beautiful and features so many fictional aspects that I wish existed in our world. The ability to bend elements, along with owning a hybrid animal as a pet, is something that a lot of fans wish they could have. However, I know the danger that these abilities, bending, can oppose to a society that strives for equality. As for the characters, they all have qualities that are relatable. When Korra starts to feel depressed after her near-death experience and gets into a rut, many who were watching knew the feeling and were inspired when she finally recovered, something that they all hoped that they would do at one point. Lastly, the lessons that I've learned due to the show will stay with my identity for the rest of my life. They've given me a better perspective on the world, and hopefully that will help me in the long run. This project was an interesting and new experience. This is one of the few websites I have made, so there were some issues that came along with this new type of project. I'm not very experienced in video creation, so this very video is a new challenge. In addition, it took me some time to get used to the site and understand some of its quirks, such as sometimes certain graphics wouldn't load, but in order to fix that, all you had to do was refresh the page. There was no real problem. So it also can be quite difficult to try and understand some of the depth of these media pieces. After looking at it from the perspective of pure entertainment, it can be hard to look at it from an analytical perspective instead. All in all, this project has taught me many things about one of the classic movies from my past and allowed me to look deeper into one of my current favorite TV shows. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.